All right. One extra board game. 306-506, Charleston Southern, +9, +8.5. So that's Charleston Southern +9, +8.5. Regular board games start off with 690 Citadel +14, 693 Western Carolina +14.5, 688 under 146.5 Temple East Carolina, 692 under 154 ETSU and Mercer, 693 Western Carolina +14.5, 707 Fordham +18.5, 748 or 718 UMass +11, 713 Florida State +2, 729 over 153 Georgia Southern and Georgia State, and this one that just came in now, 688 under 146.5 and 146 Temple East Carolina. So they're already firing on this college basketball.
It's the Nets and the Pistons. It's a terrible game, but we're going to take Zaire Williams under 12.5 points. Prez, the Brooklyn Nets are so banged up. Like, every starter is not playing. Ben Simmons is a game-time decision. Thomas is out. Johnson is out. They traded for D'Angelo Russell. Now he's hurt, and he's out. So what happens is these Nets have these backup players that are having to play big minutes, and they're just not very good. So Williams, let's take him under 12.5 points, under in 17 out of 20 games. He's only averaging 7.5 shot attempts from the field, but he's shooting 33%. It's awful, and he's only hitting 2 free throws per game. So obscure game, but these are the markets that we continue to find ways to cash in. I really appreciated what Gianni said yesterday, Prez, where he said, like, all the books and all the public are focused on NFL playoffs and college football playoffs. And these are the markets that are available. These are soft lines. They're really, really good numbers out there. We'll go to the NHL, and this one keeps cashing, so we'll bet it again. Sam Bennett to not have a point. This is a client play. He continues to struggle. This is 8 games now in a row without a point. And somebody did a really good job on Monday's episode of Puck Time. Someone in the chat was talking about how he's still not healthy. It's obvious. He's not at full speed. The Panthers as a team are having trouble scoring. They have just managed 1 or 0 goals in 4 out of their last 6 games. So it's very possible that we just don't get a lot of goals from this Florida Panthers team tonight. And Sam Bennett, just the opportunities have not been there. So we'll take him. And yeah, we had to do another tennis play since we hit the one yesterday. So we'll come back to tennis. And again, I'll mention at the end of the tennis special that we're running. Prez, 48-18 run in tennis. 6 winners in a row this week. This is why we keep talking about these markets and these sports. We wrapped up the World Championship of Darts 32-14 for 28 units. Tennis 48-18. So we're going to continue to talk about these sports and how you can build bankrolls off of them. So we'll do a parlay here in this one, which I know you love. We'll go to the men's Australian Open qualifiers, and we'll take Eubanks on the money line. And then we'll go to the women's Australian Open qualifiers, and we'll take Kudermetova. We'll parlay them together for -145. Eubanks was really, you could use the word shaky. I used it as bad last year, but he's rebuilding. This is a really good, this is a good matchup for him. The guy's playing as young, not very much experience. He's hit 77% of his service points. So we'll take Eubanks. And then Kudermetova, you know who she actually won a set off of last week, Prez, was our girl, Sabalenka. So she was the only one to win a set off of her. 2 easy straight wins for her in this tournament. She gets a really easy opponent in this round. 43 winners, 26 errors in round 2. So she is going to bring the juice down on this parlay. So that's -145. Eubanks on the men's Australian Open qualifiers and Kudermetova in the women's Australian Open qualifiers. And we'll go to golf, second tournament of the year. We'll take Maverick McNeely to finish in the top 30. This is only -120. He finished the 2024 season by finishing 16th, 6th, 17th, and then a win. And then his first tournament of the season was last week. I really wanted to see, does the momentum carry over? And it did. He finished 8th in a really good field. So he's top 20, total strokes gained. I think this is a great price on him to finish top 30.
We're not going to go through how hot both of these teams are. Everybody knows they're both on huge winning streaks. I think let's look first to the injury list for OKC. They would love to have Alex Caruso, especially on the defensive end, but they don't. But they still have been able to hold 17 of their last 18 opponents to 109 or less. That's extremely good defense by Oklahoma City here. They'll have to deal with Cleveland's front court size. Every time you have Cleveland on the floor, they have an advantage over the majority of NBA teams as far as the interior is concerned. And Oklahoma City's so weak there. Only Isaiah Hartenstein to do the damage down low. He has to do too much in too many minutes. It's a hard matchup for Oklahoma City, but they get you back on the perimeter. Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell are going to find these Oklahoma City guards hounding them all game long. What usually comes easy to Cleveland probably doesn't come easy here. I'll give you a quote real quick from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the Oklahoma City Thunder, who said, "It's going to be hard on the road to get off to these slow starts that we've been getting off to lately, so we have to kind of fix that. We got to throw the first punch, especially on the road against good teams with their environment and their crowd behind them." It's the number 1 ranked defensive efficiency team in the league. Cleveland, believe it or not, is number 8. They can play defense when they want to. Cleveland, in their last 16 games, I found this important. They played 3 teams that are in the top 10 defensive efficiency-wise. OKC's number 1. Those 3 games for Cleveland landed 225, 208, and 226, all under the 230.5 asking price tonight. To me, it looks like a game that probably gets to a ceiling of 225, so I played under 230 in this one.
Teams that are cruising right now, 12-2 for Mississippi, 11-3 for Arkansas. Arkansas, however, is struggling to cover the number, Rob. They are 4-9-1 ATS on the year, and here they sit as a -4, 4.5 favorite. How do you suggest we bet this one?
Well, this is a lot. It has a lot of similarities to the game I just described, right? 2 SEC teams, second SEC game. Arkansas comes home after getting destroyed by Tennessee on Saturday, lose by 24. In fact, the 52 points that they scored, Perez, I think were the second lowest total in some ungodly amount of time put up by this team. So they have some bounce back in them, I think, offensively. Mississippi, on the other hand, they won at home, now go on the road. So same situation as we had in the first game we talked about. I think when you look at these two squads, we know Calipari with his band of portal put-togethers here. Little lack of cohesiveness maybe. I mean, when you look at their talent on paper, you would say, wow, this team could win the SEC. Just hasn't gelled yet. We'll see if it does here. Both of these teams offensively would prefer to go quick. But in typical Chris Beard fashion, the head coach for Ole Miss on the defensive end, he'd like to lock you down into a half-court game. So it'll be interesting to see which team can force their will upon the other. Generally, I leave that to the home team to do so. Ole Miss, like I say, they make you use an awful lot of clock in order to try and get off a shot. So for Arkansas, it'll be a transition game. Can Ole Miss get back in transition defense? And then for Ole Miss, probably the biggest thing here, can they get on the glass against Arkansas? Arkansas's front line edge is huge here, and Arkansas was dominated by Tennessee rebound-wise on Saturday. Ole Miss is not Tennessee. Tennessee had a 51-29 rebound edge against Arkansas the other day. I don't think that happens again. This is kind of a step down in class for Arkansas's size. Arkansas's played 4 top 30 teams so far, all on neutral floors. They're only 1-3 against those teams. That kind of goes to your point about them struggling against the spread. Each side's going to probably look to run on offense. I look at it this way. Arkansas was pretty angry, especially the head coach. We've seen Cal angry before, John Calipari, after getting destroyed. I think they come out of the chute quickly here. Chris Beard, the head coach of Ole Miss, has said their defensive game plan is to try and get on the boards. I don't know if they can figure it out early enough. So I slice this down to first half, Priz. I'm going to take Arkansas, the home team, in a bad mood off of a loss, laying 2 in the first half. Arkansas first half -2. It opened 149. I thought it was too high. It's been bet down to 147.5. That's still the way we're going to look at it. Both teams enter off of different results. SEC opener, not good for Oklahoma. They got blasted at Alabama. 107-79. The other side, A&M had a nice 20-point win, 80-60 at home. Now on the road, Oklahoma now at home. SEC is a tough conference, and home floors are going to be tough to win on. When you look at the strength of schedule here, you come up really quickly with the realization that A&M has played a tougher schedule, 38th toughest overall, 8 games versus what they call quad 1 and quad 2 opponents, 6-2 in those games. Oklahoma, meanwhile, 281st ranked schedule. But you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt because they have played some good teams in there, and they're 4-1 against top 80 teams so far, 3-1 against quad ones. Alabama was the first team to whack them around a little bit. So they've done well when they've stepped up in competition. I think the matchup keys here are simple. A&M is kind of the same team they were last year. Can't throw it in the ocean, but boy, they hit the offensive glass. They're the number 1 offensive rebounding percentage team in the nation. And Oklahoma's going to have their hands full because they don't defensive rebound at all. They're number 304. Big edge for A&M. Oklahoma, however, is one of your best shooting teams in the country. So A&M's going to have to be really good on defense here. They're good at stopping teams from scoring or shooting high percentage. They're 17th in effective field goal percentage allowed. You get a lot of conflicting arguments in this game, Prez. 2 teams, just to boil it down, that are really hard-nosed, much like their coaches, Buzz Williams, Porter Moser. 2 good defensive squads. One shoots better. One's at home off of a really bad conference opening loss. That would be Oklahoma. If I had to play side, I would play Oklahoma, but I think that the defenses are going to rule here, Prez. Like I say, one team can't shoot, and the other side can shoot, but they're going to face a real defensive presence here. So give me under 147.5. The only thing that scares me a little bit is with these 2 teams involved, it could end up in a parade to the free throw line. Hopefully that doesn't happen. If it does, we'll pray Texas A&M keeps shooting them as poorly as they have so far this year.
Colorado is playing Chicago tonight. And listen, I feel bad for the Chicago Blackhawks team. There's no end in sight. There's no sun shining in their neighborhood. This is a team that is now again last in the league, 13 wins, 25 losses, and they're playing the mean Colorado Avalanche. And Colorado Avalanche have had an outstanding year so far. They're 25-15 on the season, yet they're only sitting in a wild card spot. This Colorado team cannot take their foot off the gas. They're a minus 250 tonight, but I'm not going to bet it that way. I actually am going to bet minus 1.5. The bottom line is when Chicago loses, they lose bad. They just lost 6-2 to the New York Rangers. They lost 6-2 to the St. Louis Blues, 5-1 to Dallas, 6-2 to Buffalo, 6-4 to Calgary. When Chicago loses, they lose by more than 1. As for Colorado, this team has won 6 of their last 7 games, and they win going away 4-2, 4-2, 5-2, 4-1, 5-2, 3-1 against Florida last night. So I like Colorado here to win this game by 2. I think we should be looking to bet puck lines against Chicago blindly for the rest of the year, and I think it'll be a profitable proposition. So take the Colorado Avalanche minus 1.5 against Chicago.